What's up, everybody? It's Luke James, not the singer. If you're looking to get your music reviewed, you can hit up this email that's right here. But today I'm going to hit you up with my thoughts and opinions on this new ScHoolboy Q album called CrasH Talk. Now, ScHoolboy Q is a rapper who's coming out of South Central Los Angeles, and he's signed to TDE. And while I don't think he has a modern day classic or anything like that, he certainly has been very consistent. I actually like all the albums that he's put out so far, including his last release, Blank Face, which was very solid. I did think it had a bit of filler, but nothing too crazy, and overall it was still a great album. And you know, it's been a couple of years since that project, so I think people were really excited to hear what ScHoolboy Q was doing. It's been 3 years to be exact, and the thing with this project is, I can honestly say that I wasn't too excited going into it, man. I didn't feel like the rollout here was exceptional, and then once we got the singles, they were kind of middling in my opinion. So we got Num Num Juice. This by all means is an all-out banger. I don't take that away from it at all, but it didn't really hit me that hard as a single, you know what I mean? ScHoolboy Q was gone for all that time, so I was hoping with that first single he would fucking club us over the head like a goddamn caveman, you know what I mean? Hit us with something maybe a bit more unique or personal, a bit more depth or something like that, but instead we just got this banger that was pretty good, so I was happy to see that it made the track list here. But god damn it, that next song we got, Chopsticks, is easily one of the worst tracks on this album. Once I heard that, I really did start to get worried for what sort of direction he was going to go with on this album, and I think people felt the same way, especially once that track list came out and they saw some of the features, and I will talk about that a bit later. But this Chopsticks song, man, everything about it is just generic, from the beat, to the content, to the flows, to that awful Travis Scott hook where he's just saying chopsticks over and over, man. Just really a copy and paste sort of track that it feels like any other rapper could make, and unfortunately that's how I feel about a lot of the other tracks on here too. So we get the intro track, Gang Gang. Again, this is an all-out slapper like Num Num Juice, but it doesn't really stick out in any way. It's a cool track that fits nicely into the track list, but there's nothing to it that makes me want to rant and rave about it or come back to it. Then with 5200, we get this flute-infused production, as well as all kinds of those A flows that are all over mainstream rap now. Really just seems like on some of these songs he was half-assing it. And even on Die With Him, we're getting more of those segmented flows and bars that are punctuated with A and I don't know what it is, man, but I just remember ScHoolboy Q being a better rapper than this. So on a lot of these songs, it really seems like he's just trying to cater to that mainstream sound. And I'm not going to hate on him, because in this day and age of streams, that's what you got to do. Even in a recent interview, he was speaking on how Blank Face got all these great reviews, and yet it didn't do big numbers. So I know, you know, this is just what he wanted to do here. I do understand that, and I respect that. But musically, a lot of this project was just very average to me. So, you know, if all you want is shit that bangs, and you are going to come out of this with a couple of trunk slappers for sure, but I just feel like this project didn't leave as much of an impression on me, man. Really disappointed by the rapping from ScHoolboy Q throughout. I can't stress that enough. And he was even out-rapped by Lil Baby on Water. That was one of the features on the track list that people saw it and thought to themselves, man, you got Lil Baby on here, this shit is going to be terrible. Because I know he's a very divisive artist. I'm not that big of a fan myself. But you know what? I can give credit where it's due, because he fucking snapped on this, man. He really went in. I thought his verse was great. Great flows. He just brought more energy than what Q was doing. So that was one of the nicer surprises on here, man. But you know, the main thing I took from this is it really just seems like Q was following trends rather than setting them, man. That's what kind of disappointed me. Like, you're going to be gone for all these years. Apparently he actually scrapped a couple of albums leading up to this one as well, and this is what we get after all that time and scrapping tracks. That's just not very promising to me, man. I don't know. I would have expected better. If a rapper told me they were going away for years, scrapping projects and making all these damn songs, I would expect something maybe just a bit more interesting or unique. And I'm not saying this is trash, man. I don't think this is a trash album at all. You know how it is when an album drops, people say it's trash or classic within the first day. I don't feel like that. I'm just saying, after all the hype and waiting this long, I was hoping for something that was a bit more focused and maybe had a bit more depth. But, you know, as I'm saying here, it's just very formulaic. Even the song Lies has that DJ Mustardish sound, and then you're getting your standard features from Ty Dolla and YG that don't really stick out, man. I think this is another song that when people saw the track list, they already knew how it was going to sound before they heard it, and guess what? It does sound like you were expecting. So I hate to say it, but if you were disappointed with what the track list looked like, I'm not sure you were too happy with what this project was, because you looked at the track list and you thought, this isn't going to be very good. Looks like he's getting a little bit mainstream, and that's exactly what he did. So I think some people might be disappointed with this, including myself. As for other features, we have Black coming through on Drunk with a very short part. This is another song I didn't really care for. I thought the sparse piano production was kind of dry and plodding. Then you're getting this awful hook on there. Again, some accused bars on this are very basic, just rapping about this Cudi who he wants to hit from the back. I don't know, I didn't find this song that exciting. And I also got to talk about another song called Dangerous featuring Kid Cudi. I actually think this is one of the better features on here, but I would have liked to hear more from Cudi because his voice sounded great over this hazy atmospheric production. Certainly one of the better tracks. He just does a little intro and outro, but you know what? I think Cudi could have brought more to this. You know, it's not his fault. This is what they wanted to make. I get it. But, you know, I just think as good as he was on this, more of that would have been an even better thing. You know what I mean? It's like when you go to Subway, if you like pickles and you get pickles on your fucking sub, you say to them, put some more pickles, man. I ain't done. You playing me, man? Put some more pickles on that shit. Put some extra mayo on that. When I say extra mayo, I mean like all over that shit. But now we're talking about subs. I'm getting hungry. What time is it? 9:10. A little too late for a big sub. But anyway, man, I'm just saying, you know, that song is what it is. We're going to move on here, looking at my notes as usual. We have the song Floating featuring 21 Savage, and this is just a minimalistic piano track where they're going in about floating on pills. Again, this just fits the theme of some of those generic tracks that I've already talked about. It's not all out trash, but it is something that anyone could make. Sounds like you've heard it all before, and nothing about it is really grasping. But you know what? I know I've been pretty negative so far, but there were some things on here that I actually thought were pretty cool, including the song CrasH. This was the third single and certainly the best out of all three in my opinion, because what we're getting is a slowed down sample from the song Boom. You might know that as a Royce da 5'9" joint that was produced by DJ Premier, one of my favorite old school hip hop songs of all time. I fucking love that. So to me, this had that nostalgic factor. I just loved hearing that sample be reworked, and it was kind of cool. We're also getting some pretty cool content on here as Q is rapping about teaching his daughter to love her dark skin and her curly hair. And as a father myself, that is something I really appreciate, man, because my daughter doesn't see a lot of kids that look like her. She certainly doesn't see a lot of it in cartoons and with dolls and shit like that. Like, we really have to go out of our way to talk to her about these issues, you know, build up her self-esteem, make her know that she's okay the way that she is and the way she looks. Because as Q says, man, they don't teach you that in school. Society isn't going to teach you that either. So I thought that was a really dope thing that I just related to as a father. So that was really cool, man. I like when Q brings these little personal moments because they stick out in this sea of genericism, man. A lot of this shit really doesn't stick out too much. So when he does actually go a little bit deeper, just paying a little bit more attention to the details, it makes you say, this is what I want from ScHoolboy Q. At least in my opinion, man. I was hoping for him just to get a bit more personal and push boundaries a bit more on this album because he was gone for so long. Already said that, just reiterating it because we're getting deep down into this review. So I was just speaking about paying attention to what he was doing with the bars and how that worked, and oddly enough, there's a song on here called Attention where he does just that. I think this is one of the best songs on the album, and to me, this sounds the most like a ScHoolboy Q song. A lot of this other shit just sounds like he heard a bunch of mainstream rap that's been going on with the last year or so and just wanted to emulate it. Even with some of the features, you can tell that he's following those trends and ideas. But Attention really has that eerie sort of grungy feel to it. Kind of reminds me of something that might have been on Blank Face. And there's good rapping on here too, man. He's speaking on receiving love from his favorite artists, including Jay-Z and Nas. He doesn't give a fuck about award shows and all that shit. He came up through the streets and he chose to go with the mic instead of going with the pistol. Just some really good content on here where he's letting us know where he comes from, who he is, and how he feels. And as much as I didn't love this album, I do respect that about ScHoolboy Q, man. You know what I mean? I didn't love this album, but I saw him on Twitter. He was saying how he was very happy with this project and how it came out. So it seems like he knows what he wanted to do here. I appreciate and respect that. That's what an artist should do. It just wasn't for me, unfortunately. I didn't really like it much, but I understand his vision, what he was trying to do. I can respect it, even if I don't really like the music. So the only other songs to talk about here, we got Tales. I think this actually had some of the best production because it has this guitar sound that's a little bit different from the rest of the project. On this one, he's obviously spitting some vivid street tales, as the title suggests, so this does have a bit of content to it. And Black Folk is pretty cool too. Black folk in general, of course, shout out to my people, but I'm talking about this song where he's rapping about overcoming adversity and just trying to stay positive through things. So this didn't go quite as deep as I was hoping for. You know, a lot of these songs with content, you know, the approach wasn't too amazing. He didn't really flesh the ideas out, but even just getting that little bit goes a long way for me because I love content and songs. But overall, man, I felt like this album was ultimately pretty forgettable, and I'm going to go with a 2.5 out of 5 here, man. This is one of those reviews where, you know, I just was hoping for more. My expectations were not met at all. Kind of disappointed, but this didn't quite deserve a rant review. Like, I was on Twitter talking about this. It probably sounded like I thought it was all out trash. I don't. Someone actually asked me if it was going to be a rant, but there's enough here to talk about and break down that, you know, it wasn't just one tone. You know, there was some other shit going on here a little bit, but it was still disappointing. So no rant for this one. Let me see if I'm missing anything here. Doesn't really look like I am. The only other thing that I had on here in my notes is that this kind of reminded me of what J-Rock was doing with Redemption. On that one, he was clearly going with a bit more of a mainstream sound with some of those tracks he had on there. But I think that album was way better. You know, not that you always have to compare artists, but just the idea of the direction they're going in was similar. So I did make that comparison. And, you know, J-Rock just had better bars, better beats, better features, better hooks, just everything on that. It was just executed really well. Whereas this one was pretty boring and forgettable, man. I've been listening to it ever since it came out, just trying to see if there's anything else to get from it, anything that would really stick to my ribs. But, you know, it didn't really stick, man. It's like some fast food rap, sort of, to be honest with you. So, you know what? I expect a bit of backlash for this one. I know Schoolboy Q fans and TDE fans can be pretty strict. Strict isn't the word. What's the word I'm looking for? They can be pretty, I'll just say they can be pretty serious about how much they love their artists. And I get it, man. We all have favorite artists, but it is what it is, man. I thought this was disappointing. You guys let me know in the comment section what you think. If you love it, tell me why. Do you feel the same as me? Do you think it's trash, maybe the other extreme? You know, just tell me. Just that's what you do. You know, you watch the video and you comment, god damn it. Let me know. Make sure you do all that good YouTube and social media stuff where you show me love and you show me lots of it. I am out of here. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.